A warm welcome and thank you for joining the Winning Paths podcast family. We wanted to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude for your unwavering support and enthusiasm for the Winning Paths podcast. Your subscription means the world to us, and we're thrilled to have you on this archery journey with us. At Winning Paths, which is a part of TFAM, the Irish Field Archery Monthly, we are not just another audio channel, but a community of passionate archery enthusiasts, brought together by our shared love for this ancient and captivating sport. Whether you're a seasoned archer or just starting, our podcast is designed to cater to your interests. Explore the depths of archery's rich history with our insightful monologues that delve into fascinating historical topics. From ancient archers to modern-day legends, we aim to provide you with a well-rounded understanding of the sport's evolution. Our interviews feature unique figures in the archery community, sharing their experiences, insights, and invaluable advice. Additionally, our hosts are not afraid to express interesting and sometimes controversial opinions, sparking thoughtful discussions within our community. Expect book and gear reviews that help you stay updated on the latest trends and advancements. We also bring you interesting and lesser-known facts about archery, ensuring that every episode is a treasure trove of information for our subscribers. If you're enjoying the Winning Paths podcast, why not spread the word? Encourage your fellow archery enthusiasts to join our growing community. Together, we can create a hub for all things archery. A place where passion meets knowledge, and every arrow finds its winning path. Why not to become a Winning Paths patron, premium subscriber? Your support not only enhances your own archery experience, but also helps us continue delivering high-quality content for the entire Winning Paths community. By aiding us in such a way, you're not just gaining access to exclusive content, you're becoming a crucial part of the inner circle, supporting the growth and sustainability of the podcast you love. Thank you once again for being a part of the Winning Paths family. Your subscription fuels our passion, and we're excited to continue delivering engaging content that resonates with the archery community. Subscribe, share, and let's continue shooting for the stars together.
Hello everyone, this is Neil from TFAM magazine. I'm here with Raymond Huang, better known as Reggie. If anyone who doesn't know Reggie, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Hi, Raymond, more well known as Reggie. I'm a father, a husband, a son, and an archer.
How long have you been shooting?
So I started about five years ago, and I've been shooting closer to about 4 years. COVID kind of stifled my drive to shoot and practice, but once everything got going again, I started shooting. And it wasn't even, I didn't miss shooting arrows. What it really was is I really missed all the friends and the extended family that I met through archery.
Yeah,
and I think many people community. Can agree with. Yeah, the archery community is just absolutely wonderful, and it's definitely the community that keeps me going and keeps me motivated to shoot.
Yeah. I know you obviously Barebow.
Yes.
Predominantly Barebow, or have you expanded into other dark arts?
I've picked up a compound for hunting. I do find that I can't get that motivation to shoot. Like, I do find that compound is a little bit boring for me. There's seemingly less going on. I dabbled with Olympic recurve because I want to further understand archery. There's mechanics in Olympic recurve and compound that have benefited my training in barebow. With compound, it's just, I found the bow hand has to be so much better, because compounds are so susceptible to torque that after shooting a compound and being fairly decent with it, my scores just went up with barebow.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it is something I'm tweaking with at the moment myself. I've picked up a compound maybe twice in the 2.5 years, but long-term plan is to go to compound. Just maybe it's just it's a long-standing shoulder injury, and I just don't know whether the holding of the higher poundage with barebow, obviously you have the let off with compound, whether that's going to be better for me or not, I don't know, but it's just something I'm playing around with at the minute.
Yeah, I think with shorter distances like 18 meters, we can get away with something closer to 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're shooting field in 3D, which I guess is pretty popular in your area,
Yeah.
yeah, with that, having higher draw weight, having high hold weight is not necessarily very beneficial. Another nice respect is that I do believe that with compound, you're activating your muscles in a slightly different manner, which would allow you to shoot longer.
Yeah. And we can be shooting up to 80 yards as well over here. So,
Right.
with certain associations. So, World Archery is maximum field is 50 meters, and 3D is 30 meters. But with IFAA, field goes up to 80 yards. So I don't think a 20-pound barebow could. Well, you could probably do it, but I don't know which cloud you'd be picking in the sky to do it, but
we'll have to wait for technology to catch up for us to do 20 pounds, 80 meters.
So can you talk us through your setup?
So currently I'm still in indoor season. My provincials are in end of March. So right now I'm running the Hoyt DX in a 70 AMO configuration. I'm shooting the Maple Axia lens with a AE Micro Elite Free Flight, the Wujak Revo, which I've just recently switched over to and absolutely loving it. I'm shooting for arrows. I am using the RX7 aluminums, 23 diameter.
Okay, and obviously that changes then for outdoor.
For outdoor and for 3D, I'll be shooting something else. For outdoor target, for 50 meter, I'll probably shoot the exact same setup. Just I'll be changing my arrows to the Easton X10 barrel shafts.
Yeah.
For field and 3D, I plan to use the X10 Parallel Pros, and I'll be switching to the 27-inch GMX3 with the foam limbs.
Okay. Yeah.
All the other components will stay the same. Unless I find a better tab, I'll probably continue to use the Sniper barebow tab for the remainder of the season.
Very good. What got you involved with archery?
That was random chance. I went to watch a friend shoot archery during a members only night. The owner of that establishment was kind enough to run a lesson for me so that I could experience archery. It looked like fun, looked really cool. So I picked up a bow, shot some arrows, and I realized that shooting and aiming a bow instinctively was almost exactly like shooting a paintball marker, which I was heavily involved with for 2 years. It's that arc. I mean, it makes sense because like a scope that you would use for a paintball marker would be the same as a scope that you'd use for a crossbow, because you have to adjust for the arc of the arrow. Same thing, you have to adjust for the arc of the paintball. And yeah, ever since then, I fell in love with the sport. I found that I was shooting 5 to 6 times a week, 2 hours a day. And I remember I just had that itch, and I really wanted to shoot. Unfortunately, this was a time frame between Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of establishments are closed.
Yeah.
I finally found one little archery range called Rural City Archers in New Westminster, BC. They were open, and I went down there and I started shooting. I brought my bow, I brought my arrows, and an Olympic recurve guy, archer, commented, and again, a friend of mine now in archery, he comments, like, wow, you're doing pretty good for just, having a basic setup. How long have you been shooting? And I told him, it's like, I thought for a second, and I said to him, yeah, I think I've been shooting this would be my 21st hour.
Like the jaw just goes boom.
Yeah, basically his jaw dropped, and he was just like, wow, that's pretty incredible. Like I was counting it like you count the age of an infant, right? Like you got a 6-month-old.
Yeah.
And so and this was in December. Come February, I was looking for different things I can do with archery because I was having so much fun. that's when I discovered 3D archery. And so in February, I believe it's sometime in February. I believe it is also outside of like a national or provincial event. This event is Canada's largest indoor shoot, I believe, by participants and by venue size. So I went to this 3D shoot. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to score. I just knew there was foam targets that I shoot at.
Yeah.
Little animal. There's the replica animals, right? I was by myself. I got a card. They put me on the line with a wonderful family. And even to this day, I thank Darren Mulrooney and his family for accepting me. They showed me how everything worked. They showed me how to score. And I had such a wonderful time that I was addicted to 3D archery. And for the next 6 months, I went to every 3D event that I could locally.
Very similar to me. Very, very similar to me. My brother-in-law kind of got me. Well, I've personally always done archery on and off from a child growing up. But my brother-in-law kind of obviously started archery, and it was him that kind of got me the bug, I would, as we like to call it, joining the club, becoming part of, as you say, the community. Meeting everybody. It's a phenomenal sport, and I've said this, and I'll keep saying it. I wish I'd found it 20 years ago.
Definitely, I think back, like, where would I be if I had started at a younger age? Archery just happens to fit in with all the hobbies I've done in the past that has stuck. While I enjoyed paintball, it didn't necessarily fit in with my overall likes and dislikes. Well, you could say. I hunt, I fish, I like to paddle, canoes, kayaks. I like camping, I like going on hikes. And archery just fits. Right? It's all part of this outdoor lifestyle that we're missing. And it was so. In another interview, is pointed out that, well, I'm an archer from a big city. I'm a city boy that fell in love with archery. In many ways, that's correct. I think what was overlooked is that Vancouver, BC is beautiful. It is very expensive to live here, but we put up with it because we have such a wonderful backyard. Half an hour, you can be hiking in the woods, right? You could be encountering black bears and deer. We're not far off from the wilderness, and that's one of the best things about where I live. It's within a 2-hour drive, I could be skiing in the spring. If I then do another 2-hour ferry ride and a 3-hour drive, I could be surfing in the Pacific.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Right. So it's a wonderful city. I'm very fortunate to have been brought up in this city, and it's led me to lead the life that I live.
Yeah. No, it's as I say, it's a fabulous sport. As I say, I moved over to Ireland 20 years ago now, maybe just over 20 years. And being from England, I left all my friends, my family behind, picked up, I did sports over there, rugby, soccer, golf, fishing. But then you come over here and you meet friends that are not necessarily into the same kind of things you are. Right. Where you pick up your bow, you drive an hour to a 3D course, and you meet friends.
Yeah.
And it's just like a coming together. It has to be probably one of the best sports for meeting people and friendships.
Yeah. Well, it's like having, here we have hockey beer leagues. I'm sure there's like a rugby beer league. I've heard of the rugby sevens. To touch base on an earlier conversation that we had, archery just facilitates camaraderie. Yeah. Every overnight 3D shoot that we do, we shoot our last arrow and then it's off to the campfire. People are bringing food over, they're having a few beverages, and it's just, catching up with old friends.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what I really missed, because I do know that during COVID, a lot of archers quit the sport and they left. And I think it partly is because they never really established themselves in the community.
Yeah.
But mid-COVID, I wanted to get back into archery, not because I wanted to shoot arrows. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy shooting arrows. I love when that string breaks or when the shot breaks and you have that phenomenal feeling of a great execution. But more than anything, I missed the extended family that I had made in archery.
Yeah, definitely. Back to archery side of things. Training program. Do you have anything you work on in particular, or does it alter coming up to a big tournaments?
So training wise, a lot of it is arrow volume. My biggest emphasis is my own personal, and I guess this is kind of like an oxymoron, but it's my personal body health. I listen to my body. If my shoulders are giving me a problem, if my back is giving me a problem, I will ease up on my training and go to lower volume. But with all my training, I try to emphasize good shots. It's always quality over quantity. I'm not going to push 1,000 arrows if I can't shoot 1,000 good arrows. So a lot of times my peak weeks will be anywhere from, I want to say, 400 to 600 good arrows, and a low week it'll be between about 200 to 400, and I'll typically alternate highs versus lows. And 2 weeks prior to any major 2 weeks before any major competitions, I get into a more of a recovery mode. So I drop to my low volume becomes my high volume. And on low volume days, I'm only shooting about maybe 40 to 60 arrows just as maintenance shots, right? Or to work on very small changes. We're talking about minuscule. We're talking about, light finger pressure changes or bow hand pressure.
When it comes to the competitions, rituals or mental preparation, anything that you have?
I think I go into it just as oblivious as possible. I try not to set expectations that can be, well, I guess to put it, it's the shoot for the stars, settle for the moon, right?
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to go into a competition and just take gold or silver, right? Everyone's going there for the most part to be on that top podium. But I like to set a more realistic expectation. So, for example, Lancaster, the lowest expectation that I had was just to shoot at least 133 on an end, and the other expectation was to hopefully make the final 8 shoot-ups, right? To be one of the first archers on Lancaster finals using a 3-spot, and of course, not miss the target.
Yeah. Going back to Lancaster, you said there a 3-spot. Is it something you just chose to do, or I know obviously you had the choice? Is there a particular reason you had a choice? Oh, you chose that option, should I say?
If I was able to shoot my PBs on a single spot, I would have. It wasn't a choice because I knew I could not shoot my best.
Yeah.
And if I was going to go to a competition, whether I'm shooting a PB or just shooting the best that I can shoot that day, I want to perform my best. And if a single spot would not allow me to do so, I was typically getting about a 7-point loss due to bounce outs. And so it was not an option to shoot a single spot for me. It was going
to be you did the 3-spot right through qualification, obviously the head-to-heads, everything.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, and had I not shot a 3-spot, I would not have had the qualification scores that I had, because there are multiple instances where on the 3-spot, my arrows were laying virtually in the same spot. So outside of a perfect Robin Hood, it would have been a glance out. I'd be losing a minimum of 1 point. Of course, outside of a lucky bounce, right? In the eliminations, in the round of 16, Joel Turner would have eliminated me, because I would have been 1 point down, and 1x down.
Okay.
And because I shot a 3-spot, I tied him in the end of the 4th end, and I had 1x extra to break the tie. So quite literally could not have done this on a single spot.
Yeah, I suppose as well with the 3-spot, obviously using the 23 arrows, as you say, it obviously you've got that spread where you know of the shooting of the arrow, you know, where he's trying to get, I suppose, 3 23s into a 50 pence piece size 10.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, using a 23. If I had an unlimited budget or just unlimited source of free arrows, I could in theory shoot 23s because I don't have to worry about breaking arrows. And with the Easton X23 18s, which is I think the highest spine that they make, I was able to get them to tune. Those were actually the first 23 diameter arrows that I shot, and originally I shot them on a single spot. With that particular arrow, I could not break them. I would break nocks, but that was it. I could have them slam into the sidewalls, hit the back bushing. I had no issues with breakage, but
Yeah.
I was still losing points.
Yeah.
And that's why ultimately, instead of going the route of indestructible arrow and shooting a single spot with bounce outs, I went to a 3-spot, and I've been training on 3-spot for well over a year.
I should have maybe said at the start, massive congratulations on the Lancaster Classic win.
Thank you very much.
Experience-wise, something I've massively looked at myself. I think we had a meeting with yourself and Isaac yesterday, and Isaac brought that Lancaster would be the Vegas for Burbo. I kind of agree with him.
I don't think it's just the Vegas for barebow. Lancaster feels like the Olympics of barebow.
Yeah.
Right? I get that not everyone necessarily shows up because I get, there's financial constraints. But it is probably the most well-known shoot across the world for barebow archers. Everyone knows Lancaster.
Yeah.
And by virtue, everyone knows whoever's been in that final stage, right? Similar to your Olympians.
Yeah. I have to admit, I loved watching it on YouTube. It was awesome to watch. Obviously, all the head-to-heads with yourself and Demmer and everybody there. The finals, even the ladies' finals. Both phenomenal.
There's nothing like it. The barebow videos just always seem to gather more views. The women's barebow, men's barebow, as long as barebow's involved, it just seems to get more views. It's the energy in the room is completely different. Watching a compound hit a 12 or an Olympic recurve hit a 12, while again it's still difficult, it's so much more attainable that you don't get the same vibe, right? Like I watched the men's competition for the compound and Olympic recurve, and okay, cool, you hit an 11, awesome, we expect it.
Yeah, true.
You hit an 11, and let's not even talk about the 12. If you hit an 11 in barebow, the room is just electric.
Yeah.
Being there and being there live and watching it on YouTube is just completely different. The atmosphere is intense.
Yeah. I never ever thought I would ever see a round of applause for a reset.
A reset?
Yeah, coming down.
Oh, right. Yeah. A letdown.
Yeah, letdown. Sorry, yeah.
Letting down, but it shows a lot of athleticism or professional prowess to know that I need to let
not
down.
Right.
Yeah, something's not right, and I need to reset myself. Mind you, there's always the clock that can determine whether or not you can or cannot.
Yeah.
But letting down is not an easy thing to do. It's us pointing out that we have a flaw, and I applaud anyone who can let down. I'm a culprit in not letting down when I really should. Yeah.
Pressure. Do you feel it, or is it something you just block out?
Uh, I definitely had some strategies to try and block it out. I tried very hard not to focus on the cameras. I knew the audience was there, but I call it willful ignorance. I'm just gonna ignore and just play dumb, and I'm good at playing dumb. But I'm just gonna ignore the whole situation, just not understand what this pressure actually is. And
I can
it seemed to
imagine
work.
the Reginald Reggie thing settled you a little bit. It kind of almost kind of give you like laughter. They say obviously kind of releases, a lot, and obviously that was hilarious. I have to be honest. So
Oh, it was great. I mean, when the whole situation happened, I really wished that my extended archery family and friends were there to be there. And it's not so much as, well, be here for me. It's the reality of it is that I wish I could have shared that moment and that excitement with them. To hear Reggie being chanted in this backstage, that actually made it feel like my family, my extended family, and my
yeah,
own actual family was there with me. So and you know what? You're probably right in the sense that that laughter helped release a lot of that tension.
yeah. I could imagine it doing so, because it just, as I say, I think the whole room just kind of erupted, obviously, when it happened, so it was.
Yeah, we had a good laugh on PJ's expense. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Remainder of 2024. What's next? What's competition wise? What's next?
So we just finished the Canadian indoor regionals. I shot well enough to hold a first place.
Congratulations again on that one. I've seen the results there.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. The day prior, actually, we had a registered event, and with that score, I was able to take a Canadian record. I shot a 552, I think, and the previous record was held at 550 for, I believe, 10 years.
Wow.
So that was really exciting. Definitely would have preferred if I had shot that on day two, because in day two that was regionals, and that would allow me to take the Open and the Canadian Championship record.
I might have finished about sixth ish.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, it's steep competition. It's steep competition, but I don't think you're a slouchy. If you're in if you're in a tournament, I will look out for your name, and I know that you're there. I know you're there, and I know you're out to get me too.
I won't go be a long way off that yet, but I'm getting there.
Well, baby steps, right? We all start somewhere.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the important thing is being there. But not to sidetrack too much. And I apologize for that.
No, you're okay.
The coming events, I have BC Indoor Provincials at the end of March, and then very shortly after, I'll have Pan Am Championships in, I think it's somewhere in Mexico.
Cool.
Yeah, after that, I'll have it's a more of a friendly but serious 3D shoot out in Kamloops. It's an event that I look forward to. They host they have a very good course, and it's just an amazing event. Last year they had about 250 archers, and this year they're expecting more.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, that leads us into a lot of summer training and preparing myself for World Field Tournament, the World Field Championships, which is held in Lac La Biche, Alberta, Canada. And after that, in a week, I get a week of rest before I head into Slovenia for the World 3D Championships.
I hope to meet you there.
Yeah, likewise. I'd like to meet. Oh, I like to shake hands. It's I mean, these interactions are awesome, and thank you, technology, for allowing us to reach out to archers and friends across the world. But there's nothing like meeting a person it's nothing like meeting the actual individual in person, to shake
100%.
their hand. Yeah, shake a hand, have a pint, whatever it be, share a meal, good laugh.
Yeah,
because that's what it's all about.
cool. So, bad habits.
Bad habits.
In archery, I mean, we won't go into personal life.
Bad habits. I don't know. I haven't been told of any recently, but last year in indoor season, my bow hand was atrocious. I could not get into my set position with a relaxed hand. And so at full draw, to make sure that my hand was relaxed, I would diddle my fingers like this, right at full draw. And there's a bunch of archers that are around us, and one in particular that day, she said to me, "You have to stop doing that." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You diddling your fingers, moving, you keep wiggling your fingers at full draw. It's driving me nuts. It's worse than squirrels running around. I can deal with squirrels running around. I can't deal with your hands just like flicking around like that. Stop doing it." And so that did take me about 3 to 4 months to get rid of.
Were you aware you were doing it?
Oh yeah, I was 100% aware.
All right, okay.
I did it specifically to relax my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so changing it now, I relax my hand in my set position, and then I come up with a relaxed hand. And it's definitely helped my scores. So yes, was it bad? 100% it was not a good one. Would I do it again? I would probably do that just to mess with the archer next to me. And it's not that I don't want them to shoot well. It's just that, I mean, that's what friends are for. You got to mess with them now and then, just for a good laugh.
Especially if they're left-handed and you're face to face.
Yeah. Oh, I love shooting with left-hand archers. It's a lot of them are, again, most archers they're very fun to be around. And
Yeah.
so, whether it's male, female, or other, if it's a left-hand archer, I approach the line. It's like, oh, that's great. We get to look into each other's eyes lovingly. And again, it's like you had said before, it's the comedy, that relaxes us.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of archers take it a little bit too seriously, and they're tense from the time that they walk into the venue till they exit. They are just so tense that it can really affect our shooting.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I've suffered terribly with nerves, especially in head-to-heads. My first Irish Open, I very luckily got through. Well, I wouldn't say luckily. I did well to get through to the final, and just the nerves and the shakes and everything that were kind of going through me, into the final. And I was shooting against a guy that I know very well. It was a very good friend of mine, but I just couldn't control the nerves. Luckily, again, I was able to win the final, but how I won it, I don't know.
One thing I've realized is that whatever nerves we're going through, the other archer is also going through something similar.
Yeah, that's true.
Whether it's greater or, at a lesser amount of stress, we all do feel that stress being up there. Shooting the eliminations, we can see it. Archers that can typically hit solid 28s, in those eliminations, they're hitting 27s.
Yeah.
Just that one point is enough to show me that the other person is not shooting under ideal conditions.
He's feeling it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been shooting for 5 years. I've been shooting for 2.5 years. Someone climbing the archery ladder, any advice?
Have fun. It has to stay fun. You have to want to come in and do this and shoot arrows. Become involved in your community. Archery needs the community, whether it's volunteering or just interacting with others to make it a sociable, fun activity. Being very social with the community is also a really good way to get little tips and tidbits on how to improve.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'd be here or not, I do attribute a lot of it to the phenomenal archers that are around me, the wonderful mentors, a mentor who basically now is coaching me that was all just through building relationships with other archers.
Yeah.
Joining clubs is very crucial.
Yeah, funny. I was just going to say, becoming more involved and getting involved within the club, within your clubs.
Yeah, I think it's with like anything else in life. You get what you put into it.
Yeah.
Right. And because it's it's an individual sport, but it's incredibly social. And if you keep that social aspect of it, it's I believe it will be harder to excel.
I think I'm going to know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Your proudest achievement to date?
It's outside of my kids, and like outside of my kids, my wife, my family. It would be Lancaster.
Yeah.
That's definitely the biggest event that I've shot, and the outcome is, it's the outcome of dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to top going to Lancaster, being top qualifier, making it through all the eliminations, and despite being top seed, my eliminations was not easy, right? Like I had to go against some of the top names in North American barebow.
Yeah.
And then to finish that off, I had to do my final elimination against one of the, if not the top barebow archers in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's Eric Janssen, spelled Johnson, but I think it's Janssen. Eric Janssen is one if like he's, from what I understand, the only barebow archer to ever put 30 arrows consecutively into a 10.
Wow.
So like I don't know how to top this. I would like to top this event, and it's not for personal achievement, but I want to know what the energy and the excitement will be like with everyone around me.
Do you think defending the title next year might top it?
I think being a two-time gold in Lancaster in itself will be very difficult and would be pretty awesome to achieve. I'm looking at it more from the grand scale of things, just how everything played out. If I had missed, or if Eric had missed, and then if Eric had missed and then I won, that'd be completely different. The fact that I came from a 4-point deficit to a tie, to a 1-point lead, and then after my last arrow, I had a 12-point lead, forcing Eric to go for the 12. That scenario itself is incredible.
100%.
And just so winning Lancasters next year is not technically, like, while as a personal achievement, that's really cool, but it's not the same in the grand scheme of things. Right? That overall picture is
in the final, did you ever think about doing a 12?
No, because keeping everything in the gold for barebow is already difficult enough.
Yeah.
And so being able to shoot solid, keeping everything in the gold typically will yield a 28 average. And not to mention we have the X, which is an 11.
Yeah.
So your average, the putting everything in the gold now is not just a 28 average, it's a potential 29 or 30 average. That in itself, from past history, I already felt was high enough. So the 12 ring really is just, you got to do it if it's a do or die.
Yeah.
Right. Outside of accidental or incidental 12s, I don't believe anyone ever really goes for it. And it was never in my mind to go for it unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah. Yeah. What's life like outside of archery? Does it exist?
It's archery. What are you talking about? There is no life outside of archery. I feel like that's a trick question.
Every time I speak to you, you're in that room. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have a cot in the corner. That's why. It's I think because of what I want to do with archery, don't really think about life outside of archery. It's definitely has its challenges because I'm not shooting a compound. If I was shooting a compound, life could actually all be archery.
Yeah.
So navigating time with my family, the finances of it all, that can always be a little bit daunting. And I definitely cannot do this without the support of my family.
Yeah.
Right. The time I need to train, and just whether it's just training at home, I'm still taking time away from my family. And so for that, I'm extremely grateful that for their support.
Do they shoot
Yeah,
too?
my kids did pick up 3D archery. I was a little bit sneaky about that. I made it a prerogative never to actually invite them or push them into archery. And one day my daughter came up to me, he's like, Dad, I want to go shoot 3D with you too. And from there it was like a snowball. They would, outside of heavy rain and cold, they're always out there with me shooting 3D. And they've recently picked up indoor target as well. So now they're shooting indoors and practicing and training. And it was actually only a couple days ago my daughter mentioned, it's like, oh, it's 3D season. I haven't been practicing a lot. We need to go to the range and practice.
Very good. So they're pushing you as well. So
They are.
Outside of archery as well, you have two gorgeous four-legged friends.
Yes. So we have a senior beagle, which we adopted when he was 10. Absolute phenomenal dog, and he exhibited none of the beagle characteristics that would typically torment an owner. So for some crazy reason, we decided, yeah, we should also get a beagle puppy. And that little monster, while we love him to death, he's a beagle.
Has the beagle traits.
He has the beagle traits. He is full beagle. There's no doubt about it. But we're very fortunate to have them, and they bring us so much joy. I think every day it's just like, what can we do to deserve to have you guys to have them with us as part of our family.
Yeah. Passions outside of archery. Obviously, I know you spoke earlier on fishing and hunting and things like that. Anything outside sport, out of sports, kind of?
So camping is definitely still a thing. We do camping with the family, and we do camping for 3D archery events. But above all, I like feeding people. Whether I'm at a hunting camp or at a 3D archery camp, I'll have my full kitchen. I'm bringing everything, including the kitchen sink.
When am I invited?
Anytime. Just make your way over here, and we'll shoot some archery and have some food.
Cool.
Yeah, there's nothing like preparing food for a gathering of friends, right? It's there's the stories that you can share around a campfire while you snack on food and have your beverages.
And eat s'mores.
Oh yes, s'mores. Well, that's a given. That's a given.
5 years in the future, where do you see yourself?
I think I think I'm expecting another 5 years of competition. After that, I don't know where I will be physically. I am aging. If I can still be competitive in 5 years, I'd love to be doing that. But more than anything else, within the next 5 years, I would like to be able to train a student to be on the Lancaster podium.
Yeah.
If it were the coming year, no, definitely. if in the coming year, so we spoke about this earlier, will I want to defend my title? Of course, I would love to defend my title.
Yeah.
However, if there was an archer in need, I would put my bow down so that I can be in the coach's box next year to support a new archer. I think that would be a bigger goal than and a bigger goal and a bigger want than to be a 2-time consecutive Lancaster champion.
Very, very good. I'm going to know the answer to this one as well, because it's going to be the same answer that I would give as well. Your favorite competition format, target, field, or 3D?
It's definitely 3D.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. 3D is just so much more fun. The challenge of 3D. In Canada, we do for barebow, everything is unknown. So you can take the best archer, throw them on a 3D field, and they can be completely just out of their league because they can't tell what 10 yards looks like. Right? I get that, and I've heard the other side of it. Whereas, when they do a competition, they want to know how far that target is because it's a competition of the best archer. It still is, in my opinion, the competition of the best archer, because being an archer, I think it's good to be well-rounded. And judging distance is part of 3D archery, right? There was a time when we didn't have rangefinders. You can't just stick a tape measure out there to see how far that harvest is. Yeah. Well, based on the wind, I should, take a few yards up. But yeah, 3D is, because it is so challenging, that I absolutely love it. There's nothing better than hitting a 10 at a target that may or may not be 25, 30 yards away.
Yeah. And the terrain as well, getting, having to judge, different terrains and, things like that, and uphill shots, downhill shots. I think that the whole challenge of 3D is just, it's something I really enjoy.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's happened with you too. And it's not that we want other archers to fail, but when you in a group of 4 or 6 archers, everyone hits a 5 and you smash that 11. How good is that feeling? Yes. Right? How good is that feeling?
Sponsors, who are they with yourself?
Sponsors. So my first sponsor, Borman's Archery, and still a current sponsor and supporter. Borman's Archery has been absolutely phenomenal to me. They've given me the knowledge and the tools to do what I do. Easton Archery, phenomenal arrows. I can't think of another arrow I'd rather shoot than the Easton X10 series, and I'm very glad they've expanded that series. Wujack Factory, they make a phenomenal plunger, and I switched to it as soon as it was responsible to do so. I almost switched to the Wujack plunger at Vegas, but I didn't want that to be something in the back of my head. So
beginning or mid?
I was end of day 1. I was playing with the Wujack Revo, and I noticed my groups were actually a lot tighter. Just something about that. Something about it. I think there's magic fairy dust in it. It has to be. But I shot such tight groups with it. But mid competition, I didn't feel like, as a responsible athlete, I should make any big changes like that. As soon as I got back home and I was doing some practice and testing gear again, I put on that Revo, and my groups and training scores went up. So for me, it was a no-brainer to switch over, and I'm proud that Wujack has accepted me and is sponsoring me. And of course, my bow manufacturer, Hoyt, quite literally, so Hoyt's definitely one of the big sponsors that I've always wanted.
Yeah.
And it's not just for the prestige, but I felt that I had a story and that I could represent them. I would have quit barebow had it not been for Hoyt. Right. The first year that I shot barebow, I didn't string walk. When I tried to string walk, I absolutely hated the way my bow felt and the way it sounded. Hoyt wasn't my absolute first riser. But when I had to make a decision after a year, because I knew I wanted to be competitive. I'm either going to string walk and continue with barebow, or I'm going to go to instinctive class and shoot a wood riser. I tested out many risers, and the Hoyt Exceed just resonated with me, the way I needed to sound and the way I needed my riser to feel. So again, quite literally, I would have quit barebow had I not had a Hoyt riser in my hand.
That very, very brings me to the next question: the support network with your sponsors. Obviously, that's just answered a massive part of it.
Yeah, the information I'm able to gather from them, the innovation that my sponsors have produced, and the products, it's definitely helped me along the way. I can't say that with or without it I couldn't be here, but I just know that I wouldn't be here out of choice, right? It's archery in itself is really expensive, can be very expensive. The training time and the gear. There's not a lot of money to be made for even if you podium in barebow. So with the sponsors' support, it actually does make it relatively possible.
Yeah, and the new weight system looks pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, we're talking about the Hoyt barebow weight. Yeah, I put that thing on, and my training scores went up 5 points, like easy 5. Yeah, whether it's the weight or just the vibration dampening, I do believe it's a combination of both, because I have shot heavy weights in the past, and my scores were good. But when I threw this particular weight on, my scores I could see it in the stats in my training that my scores have gone up from this weight alone.
And does it adjust in weight, or is it just one solid piece, or is it different sizes, or?
It's adjustable. So there's a core unit, and then you can select different rings for it. I started off with the lightest at 20 ounces, and when I felt like I was able to use the 30 without causing bodily injury, I went to the 30. And again, when I was ready for the 40, I went to the 40. And every time I put in the heavier weight, I did notice that my consistency was going up. The score itself wasn't as big of a contrast, right? I may only gain 1 or 2 points. Some of that could be attributed to luck, but I did see my consistency go up as I added more weight to the system.
Very good. Going back to Lancaster, the final against Eric.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
From my point of view, as we spoke earlier on, you looked the picture of calm. You were just taking 1 arrow at a time, which I suppose that's the thing to do. Was the nerves there, or especially the 1 hour shoot off after Eric hit the 12?
I guess my acting lessons paid off, because while I looked it, I was definitely feeling nerves. I don't think I've ever perspired as much as I did on a shootout. I knew I was constantly wiping sweat off my hands, because the nerves hit. The third arrow on the first and second end definitely was giving me trouble. Towards that third arrow, my hands would shake. And I put a little bit too much oomph into it and put the arrows a little bit high and to the left and right. Yeah, definitely. If outwardly, I guess maybe people didn't see the nerves kicking in, but they were definitely there.
Yeah. We touched on it earlier on. Obviously, the World 3Ds in Slovenia. Would that be your first competition outside of the continent of like North America or Canada?
Yeah. So the World 3D in Slovenia will be my first, I guess. Actually, no. World Pan Am would be. So sorry, Pan American Games would be my first out of continent competition. Man, I hope I got that right, because otherwise that's kind of embarrassing. Depends on where it is. It's either in North America or South America, right?
Okay, we'll put it this way. It's your first transatlantic competition.
There we go. Bingo. Yeah, it would be my first transatlantic competition. It's going to be a big one, right? I'm pretty sure this will see the highest international diversity in the competition that I've been in, that I will be going to. So it's going to be quite exciting. It's going to be really cool to meet all the other big names in archery. Yeah.
Bit of a fun one to finish. Burbo doesn't exist. What bow are you picking up?
If barebow didn't exist, I wouldn't be an archer. So it's an irrelevant question. But
let's say Hoyt didn't save you.
if Hoyt didn't, okay. So if I were not shooting barebow, I would probably pick up a compound to try and make archery a career. I would probably give up because I don't enjoy shooting compound. Like it's not that I'm upset when I shoot a compound. It's just I don't get the same joy, and so therefore Olympic recurve. I would probably chase the Olympic dream, and it's the holy grail of being an athlete.
Yeah. That basically kind of finishes our interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Massive thank you. First of all,
thank you for having me.
I'm hoping our readers and listeners will enjoy what we've done. I hope they're going to take a lot from it. And who knows? Say come September, we might be doing another one face to face.
Awesome. Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity. It's been a joy. It's being able to reach out to another continent because of archery. It's not something you think about.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily even something you dream about, but it's now that it's here, it's been a real pleasure to be part of it.
Yeah. No, it's been a pleasure for myself. Obviously, for the about 2 weeks that I've known you, you've been nothing but a gentleman. Obviously I've sent you a couple of videos that you've helped me with, so I can't obviously personally thank you enough for that kind of thing as well. But as regards to our interview, I obviously sign out and thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.